You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And I am Evan Closky.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on the social medias, X and Instagram, and email us anytime. Voice memos preferred. LockedOnRays@gmail.com.
But before that, I want to, we talked about, off air, we talked about the press conference. I know that it wasn't filled with nuggets, but if you can take one headline out of the whole 45 minutes, what would that headline be, and why was it surprising? Why did it get your attention the most?
All right, say it one more time. What about? I missed the first part there before headline.
During the press conference, we talked about this off air, but it wasn't filled with a lot of nuggets. But if you had to take one headline from those 45 minutes, what would it be, and why is it that?
The headline for me is befuddlement. It's befuddled that they won 99 games. I think genuinely they had no idea how they did that. I mean, like
13-0 helps.
It does. But between the injuries, the Wander Franco stuff, I mean, just a lot of reasons for this team to fall. I mean, the starting rotation never pitched once together. They overcame a lot, and they could have. I mean, they had a disastrous July. They could have packed it in, mailed it in. Felt sorry for themselves. They really picked themselves up by the bootstraps and fought. There were a couple games here or there you'd like to have back. I think every team would like to say that. But I think genuine befuddlement that they were a 99-win team with what they had out there. And then befuddlement of how things got so bad in the postseason. That, like, why are we just not built for this? I don't know if they have a good answer. And
you need dogs.
And the problem is I think they're like banging their head up against the wall, because I think, you spend kind of all year planning for this. And last year you saw what was coming a mile away. Great pitching, crappy hitting, right? And what was the postseason? Great pitching, crappy hitting. So that didn't surprise anyone. But to act so uncharacteristically like yourselves for 2 games when they matter the most, why? And they don't have that answer. And I don't know if there's a good answer out there. And I don't know if anyone can explain it.
When it's happened now in back-to-back
with
most of the same cast?
Well, my point being is that 2022, I don't think we were all surprised about what happened, right? Like, the numbers said you have a team that can pitch and they can't hit. And that's what happened in the postseason. What we saw in the postseason was exactly what we got in the regular season. So it makes sense, right? We all pissed and moaned and said they need hitting. They didn't do anything. And then what ended up happening was the numbers exploded. Again, it was more of like they were not that bad in 2022. And I don't know if they were
mediocre. Yeah.
That might be generous. And the numbers all laid it out that, this was a team that hits home runs and scores runs and steals and does all these things that and fields and check. Oh, we got Glasnow and Eflin, for at least this series. I mean, they're arguably two top 5, top 10 pitchers in the AL. We can argue the top 5, certainly top 10. And to just come up so small
God, that's such an accurate depiction of what that felt like. It felt
It
small,
just
and in more than one way, though, Evan. Like not only the pitching, not only the bullpen, not only the hitting. For me, some decisions by the coaching staff, but then let's fall into the favorite topic, and by favorite I mean the completely sarcastic term of definition of favorite. A favorite topic of everybody, the attendance. I heard what Taylor Walls and what Pete Fairbanks said to you and other media after the game. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to read between the lines, and that what they were saying said we were kind of affected by the lack of support.
Yeah, I don't want to say that they were affected by the lack of support. I think their point was it would have helped if they would have had more support. Like saying that they're affected comes off like they were negatively affected. I don't think they were negatively affected by the lack of fans. I think they could have been more positively affected by more fans. So that and at least with Pete, I mean, Pete said, like, I've been in a Tropicana field that's just bumping in the playoffs, and it's a game changer. And so we didn't have that game-changing environment. That doesn't mean that they were any different of a team. They play in that field all season long. They're well equipped to handle that, to bring your own juice. On the attendance stuff, I'll say this. Major League Baseball did them no favors with the time and certainly with the notice. Does that exonerate the fans for not showing up as well as they did? I don't think so. I'll say candidly that 20,000 on a Tuesday and a Wednesday are some of the, at least recently speaking, I know people were digging through histories of when they did play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays or whatever back in 2011 against the whatever. I mean, I don't know. 20,000 fans on a Tuesday, Wednesday at 2:00, during the week, objectively is a lot of fans for this market. And it's part of the issues of having Tropicana Field in St. Pete. If it was in Tampa, would it be more? I don't know. I don't. But I certainly think that in other markets, playoffs are circled and starred, and you make exceptions, and you know that the possibility is coming. Again, I would have loved Major League Baseball to give more notice to teams so that they can market and get the word out and to get fans there. Having said that, I think if fans really wanted to be there, they would have been there, and they would have figured it out. But I'm not going to shame anyone for going to work and doing what you need to do, and not not burning a PTO or pissing off your boss because it's short notice. I mean, that's your prerogative. It's your life. You got to make your decisions, and it just, we are who we are as a market, and the attendance numbers bear them out. Oh, the attendance was up 30% this year. That should be applauded. But in the end, we're not a top 15 or a top 20 attendance team. Yeah. And so you're working out of a kiddie pool anyway. So to compare yourselves, like when people compare themselves like look at Philly. We ain't Philly. I don't know what to tell you. We're not Philly. Like, you're right. We are not Philly.
We're not even Minnesota. We're not even Minnesota, and they sold out. I was telling Kevin, yeah,
their numbers are better. Like if Miami sold out on a Tuesday, Wednesday
then
at 2:00, then we can talk, because that now you're grouping apple to apple. Look, it just
Even by the end, like around the 6th inning, I was basically having a conversation one way with Kevin Cash from left field. That was the kind of environment.
Yeah, and I'll say this: it also sucks playing the Rangers. Usually, I mean, it wouldn't have been Rays fan, but usually you play like Minnesota, Baltimore, Philly, New York, anything, Boston. You're going to have their fans come too, and then that packs up the park. There is no like allegiance to the Rangers in the Tampa St. Pete area. There's no spring training facility. There's no like boots history. Like you're just not. There's not many.
And you don't amp up. If it's the Red Sox, you amp up Rays fans to go. If it's something like that, you amp up your own fan base by knowing, hey, these guys.
Even if there's Toronto, they're in Dunedin. It just there's a local tie. There are things that get people out. It just and I want to say this about the Rangers.
Now, starting November 1st, for the 4th year in a row, Ibata is giving 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving feast. Pretty neat, right? Just add the offers in the app to redeem for everything you need to make your Thanksgiving feast complete. All you have to do is shop at your favorite retailers and upload your receipt. Ibata gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can ensure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Now, some other apps out there will give you points that don't really amount to much. Well, with Ibata, you get real cash back that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. You can also earn cash back on hundreds, I said, of online brands and retailers too, when you start with Ibata, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Surely you've heard of those brands, right? Download the Ibata app now and use code MLB to get 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving dinner starting November 1. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free, 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 okay? Ibata app and use code MLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use that code. I'll say it one more time. MLB. That stands for Major League Baseball. MLB.
I'm not overly they certainly had a disastrous month like the Rays did. They blew a lead. But they also got extremely hurt in that time period too. And we got to remember that Texas, for most of the season, was a dominant team. They were dominant. And then they blew up because not only did they hit a horrendous slump, but then Seattle hit a horrendous surge at the same time. And then it made that thing really competitive because Houston's Houston and they were always going to be in the mix. And in the end, they just kind of, they were in some battles there. They had to travel out to Seattle, whatever. But they were always a really good team. I think we took them in hindsight for granted because of just how they were at sort of like that back half of the year of how ugly it got at points. But they were starting to get healthy. And it reminds me right back to the beginning of everything that I said. And that's October is different than the rest of the season. So even if you stunk like the last day, they blew the division and felt deflated, it doesn't matter because October's new. It's a new year, it's a new life, and it does. So that I think we tried to carry in those narratives, and that's my learning lesson from this, as I mentioned before, right? Like whatever happens on October 1, when the playoffs start, it does not matter to me anymore. I'm just going to treat it like hockey. It doesn't. Like same thing with the Lightning. Like, they learned a long time ago when they set an NHL record for points in a season and then got blown out by the Columbus Blue Jackets. They realized we don't have to do this shit. Pardon my French. We don't have to do this. We have to make it to the playoffs. That's it. We got to conserve our bodies. We got to know when to push it. We got to know when to lay off. We got to really pace ourselves. And that's a lesson that I'm kind of seeing in baseball.
And what's crazy too is that the Rangers, in facing the Rays in the wild card, they had to travel from Seattle, about the furthest spot in the country to have.
They didn't even practice the day before. They didn't even do a warm up.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a thing, but it's anything can happen. I think it just doesn't take all the variables that we want from the regular season, from travel, all that stuff. Doesn't matter. Just doesn't. Home field advantage hasn't mattered much in the postseason this year. I mean, we said we like to. I said that Philly is a game changing environment, and the D-backs travel back across the country. They win Game 6. And at this moment, it's the 6th inning, and they're leading 3-2. So,
go Longo, get your ring, Pop. Get your ring.
Yeah, he's undefeated in Game 7.
Have Longo get the ring.
Have Longo get the ring. Exactly. That would be such a nice. What's a second? When you get an award for second place or something like that?
What, a silver medal?
Yeah, kind of like for Rays
consolation prize.
Yeah, exactly. Consolation prize. Thank you. And the consolation prize is for Evan Longoria to get his ring.
If the Rays win a World Series, they give Evan Longoria a commemorative ring. Longo should do that as well. If the Diamondbacks win the whole thing, he buys the organization, some special Diamondbacks ring.
And just remember, the Rays had, when they made the World Series the first time, they had guys like Longoria, Crawford, and David Price at their peak. And those, there's no, the Rays had as all-stars this year, Yandy Diaz, Randy Arozarena, Shane McClanahan, who was about to have TJ, was falling apart there by that point anyway. But that trio is, we're talking multiple all-stars. I don't think Hall of Fame talent, but borderline, during their time, just absolute studs. Guys who earned a fat chunk of change on their second contracts. Rays don't have that. Wander's that guy if he can play. Yeah, that's one, and Randy is him. So that would be 2. But you look back to that 2008 season and why it kind of clicked, and it was they had some guys who were about to make a huge name for themselves in the sport, and who were making a huge name for themselves in the sport.
Well, with 2008, and Kevin and I have brought this up a lot in the last 3 seasons or so because of the lack of it in the clubhouse. If you ask every single person from the 2018, the first thing that they will say about the clubhouse, it'll be 4 words, and they're 2 names. Kevin, what are those 2 names?
Eric Hinsky and Cliff Lloyd.
That's it. Guys who have been, they don't have to be Hall of Famers. They don't have to be all-star, perennial all-stars, but they have to be guys that are there, that have been there, done that can lead, that can show a guy like Evan Longoria, who's a rookie in 2008, and telling him, hey, don't say no to your first millions. That was Eric Hinsky. Yeah. Then
you also have, and I don't even think these names were mentioned, but Scott Kazmir and James Shields and BJ Upton and Ben Zobrist and Carlos Pena. There's some dudes for sure.
No, but where's the Hinsky and where's the Floyd in this clubhouse? I think there is no. Floyd
I will say this. And he had an amazing start to the first half of the year. He kind of became what he was with the Rays the second half of the year. But they miss Kevin Kiermaier. People can say what they want about him, and it's not like Jose Siri. He provided more pop than KK, and his potential is there, and he's younger. But
KK makes that catch in Game 1, by the way. KK makes that catch.
He does, but KK also, he controlled the clubhouse. He was a leader in there, and Glasnow's not that guy. And again, like Eflin, I'm telling you, Zach Eflin impressed more than what he did on the field. It was so impressive how many times I heard his name about who the leader was in this team. But it also was so concerning that a guy who just showed up in February was the unanimous guy for leader. And he's a pitcher who goes every 5 days. It just hits differently, no pun intended. But it does. You need a guy who's in the lineup every freaking day. You need an Ed Reed in there that's I'm out here, I'm hurting, let's go. Yeah. I'm leaving my body out there. So it's just
look at the Diamondbacks. Who's the Cliff Floyd and Eric Hinsky in the Diamondbacks? Look at karma. it all comes full circle. It's Evan Longoria and Tommy Pham.
I think in the offseason, they need to acquire some experience. And that doesn't necessarily mean that on paper it looks great. They have to understand that there's value in humans.
Yes.
That it's not always – look, the analytics matter. I hate when people say, like, analytics suck. The only reason the Rays continually win – they won 199 games 2 of the past 3 years with what they have on their roster when we look at it. Like, you are out of your damn mind if you're going to convince me analytics don't matter. They matter because that's why it does.
Yeah.
But they are missing the human element of the story. It's what I say in the postseason in the past, not this one, but in the past. I think Kevin Cash sometimes lacks a feel for the moment of what I need to do and how it's, you know, the antithesis of how I think, but I feel it and they need it. And they need a guy that feels it. And sometimes, like, Kevin can only do so much, right? Like, I mean, for anyone who's played sports out there, right? Like, your coach can lead you and teach you, but sometimes, if you ever had a parent that parents you a little bit too hard, sometimes you don't want to hear it from them. Like, I don't want to hear it. Sometimes you need your brother or you need your best friend to be like, yo, step your shit up. All right. Like, and then it just is like, whoa, like, if you're telling me that when I never hear it, you're holding me accountable, something has to be wrong. And so this season, as a collective, they were amazing to go through the adversity that they did together and to stay the course. As a collective unit, I applaud them. I applaud Zach Eflin. I applaud Yandy Diaz in his lead by example. You need lead by example types. You need lead by vocal types.
Yes.
I think the number one thing that stuck out to me at the end of the season was when I talked with Zach Eflin, and he said, you know, we have to, when he was listing the things that we're going to do, we're going to be, you know, we'll get back at it. We'll become better baseball players. We'll do all this stuff. But the number one thing he said was that we'll improve our culture. That was number one out of his mouth. Out of his head was we got to improve our culture. We got to become better baseball players. And then he went through all the on the field stuff. But he said culture. And to me, if I'm Zach Eflin, I came into town and I'm the one that's making the piece off. Like, Zach Eflin was a critical piece when the Wander Franco stuff blew up the first time, where he got suspended for 2 days. And it would, like, I mean, it hit the fan. Like, it became, as I've told you guys before, previous episodes, right? I mean, to air out your dirty laundry like that, it's bad. Like, bad. Right. Bad. And for Zach Eflin to feel like he has to be the one to repair that, I bet he was like, what the hell? Like, what am I walking into that you know, I guess this is what I'm getting paid for, right? I gotta do this stuff. So
there is a lot of uncertainty in the world today, and it's important to be prepared. And that's why the Jase case is a must-have. The Jase case is a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can also customize your Jase case with dozens of add-on medications. You can choose the medications that best fit you and your family's unique needs. And now you can even buy gift cards for your family or loved ones with the holidays coming up so that they can get a Jase case of their own. So today, go to jasemedical.com and enter code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, at checkout for $20 for a discount on your order. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, at Jase, that's JASE medical.com.
Again, not like that's me. This is my opinion. I'm taking what Zach told me and I'm generating my own opinion. For me, I think this season wore on Zach behind the scenes of just how much he had to be a leader and kind of show people the ropes. And I think the organization, and it was a worry for me out of the gates. And I think at the end, it was a prognostication that I was correct on. I was a little worried with a young team who was going to steer the ship. And I think they came up a little empty on there. So I think moving forward, again, I'll think about it. I'll look at some names. And they need a guy who's been there and done that. And I don't give a shit if he hits 230. Again, part of my French. But they need a guy who will hold people accountable and really bring out the best in everyone in the best possible way. They need a couple of leaders on this team. And again, it can't just be experience on the team. You can't just say like, oh, Brandon Lau's been around a while. He's got to be the KK. He's not that guy. Brandon Lau is more introverted type. So you can't make introverts extroverts, right? That's what I love about like the Dion thing, like when he has his leaders and his dogs.
Yeah. Dogs
aren't leaders and leaders aren't dogs. You need both, right? There's a lot of things with Dion stuff, which got crazy, but that stuff resonated to me. I agree with that. Their leadership is not linear. So you need people who are different types of leaders, and they make this wonderful jigsaw puzzle. So they need more vocal leaders on the team. So that's very anti-baseball of like, I'm not giving you any stats and stuff. It's like
no, but it's important.
Based on feel, they need someone that is a little bit more in your face and gonna go down the line. And it has to be, to me, an everyday player. It can't be a pitcher. I'm confident in what Zach can do. I'm confident in what Pete can do. And I'm confident in what Glasnow can lead by example and do. But if he's here. But we'll
have that discussion
for another one
at some point.
So I mean, there's a whole there will be a shakeup. There has to be. The money is more than it will ever be. The organization said in its end of season press conference that they will spend if they feel like they are built to win. And I think to an extent they are, but I would imagine that Stu would want to spend for. Look, they went and tried to get Freddie Freeman. Didn't happen, right? They've been in the mix for players like that before. Usually, it's just kind of to throw their name out there. They tried to get Freddie. They weren't going to compete with the Dodgers offer, so their offer was less then. But I think in those circumstances, to get a player like that. Yeah. They would balloon the budget on somebody that would probably be a tipping point type of guy. And Freddie would have checked all the boxes with experience of just kind of like being a model in that clubhouse, knowing how to win a championship, and not to mention what he does at a day. Yeah. But I don't know if they're going to run it back with this team at that salary. I think they might have the same salary number to bring in a significant player, but I mean, you're going to have to shuffle guys. Like, I mean, Margot makes too much money. Harold Ramirez is going to make a lot of money. There are some common sense, like, you don't need Jalen Beeks. I don't know if you're going to have arbitration. You're going to pay the arbitration for Andrew Kittredge. So there are guys that will be salary shredders. But you have to really you have to balance the budget. And I think there has to be. I'm very curious what they can do with Glasnow. I know Glasnow wants to stay in Tampa. He got a home.
No. That I will put a pin on that because that's a whole.
That's a whole other can of worms.
I want a whole Tyler Glasnow episode. Don't you dare push that trigger on me, Evan. Don't you dare. Okay. Don't you dare.
We did find something that Evan and Ulises can agree on: that Jalen Beeks won't return in a Rays uniform, at least for that price.
We can shake on that. Yeah,
I'm just going to throw this name out there, and we don't have to comment on it. We can just move along. Maybe just give a thumbs up or a shake of the head. Justin Turner as that guy. Give that 1 year Kiermaier-esque deal.
I don't mind it, but again, I would prefer it to be an outfielder.
Okay.
I think they're pretty log jammed at the infield. And to be fair, I really don't even know where to have a conversation with anybody about the Rays until we know about Wander. It's a night and day difference, right? Like, I mean, do you have your superstar bound, your superstar / all-star shortstop, or is he gone forever? Like, I don't know. And like, he is a transformative player to that lineup and a transformative figure in the sport where he was trending in that way, at least, right? He had a terrible slump, but he was like right before he got kicked off the team, he was going right back on the ascent and had that walk-off moment and boom, see you later. I think it's like literally the offseason starts with that. Now, I don't know if they're going to have that decision in time. So
let's hope that it resolves itself. Let's hope that it does, so we can really.
Yeah, I mean, you hope for the best, especially for the the alleged victims. If that happens, there's a lot out there that we just don't know, and that's the problem. Is everything is still very much allegations, and until everything is completely factual in what has been determined by the law enforcement there in the Dominican Republic, we don't really have an ability to comment or give and especially me, I can't give an opinion on what the Rays should do because I don't have that inside knowledge, and they've been pretty tight-lipped on it, and probably for good reason. So
we agree with that. We basically have said that throughout the year when it happened.
Fast forward 25 years from now, Evan Closky will be a press secretary for some president. We'll be
I like that.
Behind a podium with a
that
says White House.
That is a hell no.
I don't know what those salaries that they throw out and the TV gig after the fact.
Unless Kevin Weiss is standing on a no pay for parking platform and gets elected by our population, I will work for you, my friend.
That should be a cabinet level position. Parking issues.
Why are we paying for parking? I want that to be answered.
I'll tell you this. Kev's got my vote.
Same here, buddy.
I didn't even have to work that hard. All right, let's end this episode, or actually 2 episodes. We're going to split this into 2, a little bit of inside baseball there. Quick name that war to end the program. This guy is the pride of Tampa Bay, Tampa to be more specific, the pride of Jefferson High School, the pride of the Arizona Diamondbacks, Luis Gonzalez. What is his career war?
Oh, boy.
Luis Gonzalez, of course, World Series winning hit in Game 7 against Mariano Rivera. I saw that live. Seems like yesterday. Did he do steroids? I think he did. That right?
I don't think there's any evidence of that, is there?
The biceps are not evidence.
Biceps at whatever age he is now are not a sign.
Unless there's evidence, that's a no comment from me. Golly.
I thought it was. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
I'm gonna go with 37.4.
Oh, hell nah. Really? That high? Maybe I'm underestimating him. I was gonna go 23.4.
I thought. How many years was he in the league? Because I had him at 12.
I had him at 12.
So wait, what are both of your guesses?
23.4.
I'm sticking with mine.
Okay. And what was yours, Evan?
Yeah,
37.4. Okay. He played 18 years in the league.
Oh, okay. I'm wrong. Damn.
Actually, no, 19 years in the league. 18 in the National League.
Damn. Okay.
5-time All-Star, Home Run Derby champ, Silver Slugger, 2001 World Series champ, left fielder. He had 9,157 at-bats, 354 career homers, 283 career batting average,
Oh God, I'm so
1,400 plus
wrong.
runs, 1,400 plus RBIs, 128 stolen bases, OPS plus of 119.
Oh my God, he's like what, a 60 WAR? Jesus,
Nearly
I'm so off.
2,600 hits. There was one year where he hit more than 200 hits, 2000 or 1999.
Ulises.
His career WAR.
God, it's like double what I said, at least.
Yeah, it basically is double what you said. 51.6.
See, oh man, I didn't realize he played for 19 years. If I would have had the years correct, I think it would have been pretty close.
His last year was in 2008 when the Rays made it to the World Series. His first year was in 1990.
Because you factor another. Yeah, I would have been very. Man,
I apologize. I apologize to the whole base.
Man, I thought he was like. I put him at 12 years. Yeah. So that's at least I'm happy with my process. I just got the years wrong. If you would have gave me 18, 19 years, that would have been a huge clue for me.
Yeah, he's the Tampa native version of Julio
if you're not, awesome. Although I want to look at that allegation though.
I did.
By the way, anybody who's I want to say anybody who's been who's listening to this episode on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever, you need to go to YouTube and see Ulises his reaction when Kevin was going through all the statistics, because this man was he was watching his bank get robbed, and there's nothing he could do about it.
It was the same face that he made on Kevin Cash's moves and non-moves in Game 1 and Game 2 of the wild card. Which I should note this was not mentioned. Rays brass claim and say that it was the best job that Cash has done in his Rays career as manager.
Well, this season, I think it was.
With all of it went through, I don't think a lot of fans can.
Yeah, we can't allow the 2 days in the postseason to overshadow that this team won 99 games. And again, if you go through everything, including the behind the scenes stuff, don't let me warn fans. The grass is not always greener on the other side. I think you have to hold Cash accountable for his playoff woes. Again, not this year. It's on the players, in my opinion. But so I'm all for you there. But don't for a second think that life is better not being in the dance than out of the dance, because you got a really good one, a freaking great one. And if he is ever, let's just say in some wild world that Neander fires him, never going to happen in my opinion. Let's just say in some bizarre world it happens. 2 seconds he's hired. So I'm just telling you that right now.
Agreed.
That's fair. All right. Evan, where can people find your wonderful work?
10tampabay.com. It's Buccaneers and Lightning season. USF is trying to make a bowl game. FSU is trying to make the college football playoffs. The Gators, Billy Napier would love to get a win against Georgia and shock the world. But again, 10tampabay.com. Check our YouTube page. We put up the Blitz, our 10-minute show that kind of previews Buccaneers games on Sunday at 8:30 in the morning. We air that on 10 Tampa Bay, but we also put it on YouTube. So if you ever need to get your Bucs fix, we have a lot of that stuff there, especially game recaps. And then on Twitter at Closky WTSP, 99% of the time I'll respond as long as you're not a jerk.
Very good. Bring back Brady. That's what I say.
You know what? If they could, they would.
Yeah. All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you on Friday.